The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Was up my ass.
Oh, yeah. Man, good morning, you guys. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, and today is Medical Assistance Recognition Day.
Ah, okay. The ass wipers. Shout out to the ass wipers.
Shout out to the ass wipers. Shout out to wipies.
There you go.
Give your favorite
I love
caregiver
wipies.
some
Wipies are the best.
Wifey.
Oh, I see what you did there. That was cute. That was cute, Chris. Yeah, it's also National Tavern-Style Pizza Day today, you guys.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Tavern-Style Pizza, Dale. You never have been to the tavern for a pizza?
Oh, I have, but is that like Chicago style or what? I mean, what?
You know,
brick oven. Only brick oven tavern.
I just feel that a tavern, the lights are dim.
Yeah, people are drunk. So is that a drunk pizza or what?
Maybe, yeah. Well, there's a lot of bread on pizza, so that's good for drunk people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Dale, this is for you, bro. It's National Make a Dog's Day.
Make a what?
Make a Dog's Day.
Make a Dog's Day.
Yeah, that's right. Like give a dog a bone, make his day. Make a dog's day. Make a dog's day. Am I speaking English today?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's just some strange days out there.
There is a lot of strange days. That is true, Shaun. I agree with you on that. I think there's a lot of days that shouldn't be days, but all these people be out here, yelling about inclusion and all this extraness that doesn't make any sense. But
filing paperwork, and everyone can have a day.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can have.
It's ridiculous. It's also National Color Day. I think they should have to pick a color. I only have one color as a day, not all the colors.
Wow.
What is this? What is this?
Because then you can encompass more days. If every color had their... Yeah, exactly. It's a blue day. It's a pink day.
Every day's a green day on this show.
Oh, I see what you did there, Chris. That was pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. And
until the end of the podcast.
In honor of Chris today, it's also National Nut Day. Yeah.
That could be my day, man. I'm the crazy one.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm surprised none of you guys just said just bust one or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't gonna go there.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I was waiting for you guys, but nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet, and we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So thank you all for joining us from whatever platform you are joining us from. And man, are you guys ready for a proper gaslighting this morning? We'll kick it off. And also, too, we're going to start our show off in West Virginia, and we're going to end in West Virginia. And we're going to take a tour around the country. Are you ready for this? All right, because a teen dies after using fentanyl tainted marijuana, you guys. That's right, because overdose deaths up in the Panhandle. Following a months-long downward trend of overdose deaths in the eastern Panhandle, Berkeley County Recovery Resources report the numbers were ticking upward last month. Quick response team member Caitlin Himes blames synthetic opioids, and she says, the fentanyl, we know it's here. The xylylene, we know it's here. The other two are confirmed too. So the methylmidine and nidazine are essentially the same thing as fentanyl and xylylene, but more potent. So the nidazine being that it's the twin, if you want to call it that, to fentanyl. Best case scenario is 10 times more potent. Worst case scenario, 40 times more potent. It's not just in, the opioid heroin supply. It's in cocaine. It's in the methamphetamine, said Recovery Resources Coordinator Stephanie Stout. Himes said her quick response team has seen evidence of synthetics showing up in drugs like marijuana. We've even had a report on the quick response team of a 16-year-old girl who was smoking marijuana and didn't know it had fentanyl in it, and she passed. On the quick response team, we've seen a little bit of an increase in overdose deaths just in the month of September, Himes said. Despite a downward trend over previous months, just in a month of September, we started the month off with this. We had 3 confirmed deaths right in the beginning. And groups across the Panhandle and the state participated in Save a Life Day. Stout says the event rescheduled to October 2nd was a success. And she says, we did have to reschedule, but still had so much success with that. Over the eastern Panhandle, we had 4,624 doses of Narcan distributed, Stout said. Test strips for a number of drugs are available for free, according to Stout, and says, we have a Narcan takeaway box, and we actually keep the test strips. We have some boxes that are in there with the Narcan, and then we have some on the top. It's a no question asking anything. If they want to come in, they can take what they need, and they can leave. They don't even have to talk to us. Stout and Himes say with each interaction they are able to make it either a Save a Life Day event or through the quick response team following an overdose. They attempt to make users aware of resources that could save their lives and get them out of addiction, you guys. Man, these people are gaslighting, talking about, oh, she smoked some weed and had fentanyl in it and she died. I'm not buying it. I'm willing to bet that she snorted something with fentanyl in it, but then she died, but just happened to be alive long enough to smoke some weed. What do y'all have to say about this?
West Virginia is a rough place for opioids.
West Virginia has had a bad opioid epidemic, a bad pill epidemic. Like that state has been hit probably harder than most other states, especially if you break it down by population density. I'd say they've been hit the hardest out of the entire country.
Yeah, there's a couple counties in southern West Virginia that have the highest opioid abuse rates in the country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So a lot start with over prescription and that turning into something that became a drug habit, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But this, Jason, I think you're probably right with these cases is that they're double dipping into multiple substances, and it's interesting when we hear lawmakers and folks from public service departments highlight specifically that these other substances are present, and then they're making this automatic jump. It must be fentanyl-laced marijuana instead of people are having a cocktail of things while engaging in likely recreational fentanyl use. Like,
you know what though? Like, I'm really starting to feel my age because xylazine, XYLAZINE, and what's the other one that they mentioned? Nidazine, NIDAZINE. I've never even heard of these drugs until this morning. I feel so out of the loop. I feel so out of the loop.
It's a non-opioid. Xylazine is a non-opioid trank approved by FDA.
Oh, I know what trank is. I know what trank is. Okay, all right, all right.
Tranquilizers that veterinary. Okay, guys, so it's like the kids who drink the bleach and, well, hopefully not bleach.
What
but,
about the kids?
For a while they're eating Tide Pods. Now they're taking veterinary tranquilizers. Apparently,
they dab Tide Pods. These kids.
They
dab the Tide Pods.
I think you have a few cases of people who are doing really stupid things that are getting overblown into being a massive issue. And then when you conflate these as being the massive issue, you pull away from actual bad actors and drug trafficking. Like we got to stop this shit with cannabis, but I don't need to go on about that. I'm preaching to the choir.
Well, I don't see the article really implying cannabis being the problem, even though it says in the headline that it was the delivery method. Unfortunately,
that's the whole point. That's why I said get ready for a proper gaslighting, you guys. That was my whole point when I saw this. I was like, they're trying to make marijuana the scapegoat for fentanyl, and you know what I'm saying, and just more perpetuation of this ridiculousness. And all the grandmas are going to read the headlines. You know what I mean? There's fentanyl in the marijuana now, and you know what I'm saying, going to cause a whole flurry in West Virginia. The only people should be making flurries
represent the failure of the war on drugs. Okay, and all of these new compounds are out there because as I say, they're many times stronger than fentanyl, which is stronger than the other, naturally occurring opioids. And if you can pack enough into your backpack and walk across the border, kill, 100,000 people, and that's a result of the failure of the war on drugs. I don't even know what else to say, because cannabis isn't the problem in the war on drugs. It clearly kicked the government's ass. Cannabis doesn't kill anybody. You got to try to hook it up with something to get people to have the horror factor. Smoking weed ain't the problem here. And if all this went through a legitimate market where they tested it and made sure you didn't have fentanyl sprayed on the shit because it's not produced by the plant, then we wouldn't be having these arguments. Because you go out in the street and you buy something and it turns out it's sprayed with fentanyl. I mean, I'm empathetic to you. You're out chasing the monkey, and the monkey was poisonous.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what? Okay, the war on drugs has been a miserable failure, and this is just the script continues to roll. Let's scare them about something. Okay? Yeah. Drugs will kill you. I mean, okay?
West Virginia's medical cannabis program has been very limited, very highly taxed. I think it's just like 4 licenses there, something like that. I know Curaleaf is one of them. And so, there's very few dispensaries. So access is a major issue on top of poverty, social issues, mental health, lack of any kind of public medical care. So there's a ton of social issues going on in that state, unfortunately. But, having access to clean, tested cannabis certainly could have changed the outcome on a lot of this.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Shaun. What's that?
No, in regards to the war on drugs, let us directly address as a United States that we use this war on drugs and then unleash the pharmaceutical industry with no real guardrails. And that led to the opioid crisis, which perpetuated the issue with addiction. So it wasn't cannabis that was the problem.
I'm with you. It's all those pain clinics in Florida, Shaun, that just perpetuated the whole East Coast and got all these kids made all these kids all pillheads out there. It's pretty sad. But
one has an idea for making money, it spread like wildfire, and we have an opioid issue across the United States that we still need to deal with. I think J.D. Vance's mother, in fact, could speak to this. Didn't he write his whole book on this?
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we're going to go down that rabbit hole, but we're going to roll into it in the next commercial, and we're going to be right back. Oh yeah, and we're not going down these rabbit holes, Shaun. But we are back. We are back. But man, oh man, you guys, Shaun just can't take it. Shaun just can't take the truth sometimes.
I'm gonna go find out what I don't know because
I'll fill you in on the next commercial. I'll fill you in on the next commercial, Shaun. I'll fill you in. All right, you won't have to research. I've already done the research. Okay, but let me tell you who else has been doing some research. That's right, the campaign to end Massachusetts' $1.6 billion legal marijuana market claims early success, you guys. That's right. Advocates of a ballot initiative that would eliminate Massachusetts' $1.6 billion annual legal cannabis industry claim they are on track. Not the dope track, but the track to qualify the controversial measure for the November 2026 ballot. Representatives of the campaign behind the Act to Restore a Sensible Marijuana Policy have until December 3rd to collect roughly 75,000 signatures. In a recent interview with the Cannabis Business Times, Wendy Wakeman, a spokesperson for the initiative, said that the campaign's goal is to collect 100,000 signatures, and that effort is, in quotes, going well. As MJ Biz Daily had reported, the ballot questions filed by lead sponsor Caroline Cunningham, a member of the state Republican committee, seek to repeal chapters 94G and 64N of the state's general laws. While that would still allow home cultivation and the gifting of cannabis between adults 21 and over, adult use retail sales would be outlawed, and only medical marijuana sales would continue if the measure is successful. Will the adult use marijuana sales end in Massachusetts? Well, even if the signatures gathering effort is successful, the campaign to repeal legal cannabis sales in Massachusetts would face an uphill climb, they say, because 53% of Massachusetts voters approved adult use legalization back in 2026, and since then, cannabis may have become more popular. 65% of respondents to a 2024 Mass Incorporated poll said adult use marijuana legalization was the right choice, compared to only 22% who said it was the wrong move. And other sponsors of the measure include a leading psychiatrist and a pastor who claim to be concerned about cannabis deleterious, deleterious, deleterious effects. I'm learning about all these new things today, Dale. Deleterious effects on youth, as well as the illicit market that's continued despite legalization. But there's familiar Republican opposition to marijuana legalization because that echoes critiques made by other prominent anti-cannabis advocates, including those seeking to convince President Donald J. Trump to abandon his promise to consider downgrading cannabis status under federal law. Despite pledging to review the issue over the summer, Trump has yet to weigh in on marijuana rescheduling. But meanwhile, in Florida, a recently filed lawsuit accuses Republican state officials of tampering with elections in order to defeat legalization, you guys. Well. Massachusetts, all these massholes, they're all signing this petition. They're only got to get 100,000 signatures. That's really not that difficult. I mean, we're working on voter ID out here in California. We're going for like 1.25 million signatures. So 100,000 signatures should be easy to garner in Massachusetts. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I mean, good luck putting the genie back in the box at this point.
But bro, what's going to happen? All those stores, they're just only going to be able to sell medical then.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to pull that off. And then they're talking about a proliferating black market currently that they've been unable to curb. Wait till you get rid of all those stores. You're going to have a crazy black market that no one's going to be able to capture.
If I remember correctly, during the pandemic, Massachusetts was like the last state to deem their cannabis workers essential workforce. Am I correct on that memory?
I don't recall.
I think that they were. I remember there was kind of like a big fight. Like everybody had already done it, and then Massachusetts was like the last one to ultimately do it.
It sounds like the people have said what they want, and then there are, that group of jackasses who want to ruin everything for all the rest of us.
Shaun, if the people vote for it, the people have the right to make a mistake and have the right to go for it to go for a vote and see and let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean? I think that's totally no, not. I don't think that's unjustifiable. If people want to put money behind that, then let them do that. Let them burn money.
Anyhow, but yes, I agree. Let them do that. But 53%, the article says 53% of voters approved this in 2016.
Yeah, but that was in 2016, Shaun. They may be mad that there's so much boof being produced out there in Massachusetts, and they're just like, hey, you know what? We got to get rid of the boof, and we're just going to go back to medical.
Where's the logic in this? Is that just to play the devil's advocate? Because, like, to Chris's point earlier, it makes absolutely no sense. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, people can vote and people can put together a couple 100,000 signatures and put something on a ballot or a petition or do whatever. But at the end of the day, 10 years ago, the majority passed it. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, to like what Chris is saying. Mm-hmm. And on top, like, it's so fucking stupid. It's the least common sense route. Like, if you're upset about the booth, okay, that can't even be logical, because you're just going to turn everything over to an unregulated, unchecked market, or you think that by doing this, your entire medical market is somehow going to benefit. If they think that killing the adult use market is going to save their medical market, the regulators and
I don't think that's the thought. I don't think that's the thought at all. I don't think that's the thought at all. I think it's a bunch of people. No, Shaun. I think it's a whole bunch of people that believe strictly in medical and think that adult use is a downgrade on society, and that people, if they're going to consume cannabis, should be smoking it for medical purposes. That's what I think is because otherwise they would just be having a vote to wipe out the whole entire program altogether.
I don't ever believe it's ideological.
You don't kill the adult use market, period.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was saying I don't ever believe it's ideological, at least truly motivated. There's some political aspects. I know Massachusetts has had one of the biggest price compressions of any state, especially on the East Coast. I mean, legal pounds on metric were going for like $500 a pound last year in Mass. You would get more money backdooring it than you would on the legal market there. Mm-hmm. So, maybe they're thinking, hey, if we ban dispensaries, we'll get more for these pounds that we're all sitting on.
Oh, so you're saying that it could be an industry-wide initiative. Interesting.
I mean, we don't want fentanyl in it, so
fair enough.
They can learn from the first article.
And when they did have a medical market, they were doing really good when they had just a medical market. All the shops were popping.
Yeah, it's
Dale's.
The initiative process is alive and well, and the people who started the initiative have convinced themselves that everybody out there will vote for it if we just get it on the ballot. And for some of this stuff, I hope they get the message that you're full of shit. Sit your ass down. You have 22% support for what you're trying to do, and kind of a message. You lost the war on drugs. We're not going to reignite it. Young people, I hope we get young voters out who would rather smoke pot than drink alcohol or smoke tobacco, and tell these old farts with their head up their ass, no, your vote counts as much as anybody else. And just because someone can scrape together money and they take their wish project and put it onto a ballot doesn't mean it will win or it should win. I hope that a bunch of these initiative people are throwing out there because they have some hair up their ass about something. Just get told, sit down and shut up. Go home. Leave us alone.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, they're nasty, they turn your teeth yellow and other things yellow, but he is honest and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinions, and anyone else's opinion for that matter, and however else you want to identify. And he will show you how He can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is none other your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
Good morning. Your favorite Tio Loco.
Yeah.
Oye, como va this morning? Que on the way for Shaun. I read a story yesterday, and it caught my attention. It caught my attention because I see this is where rescheduling is going to take us. Comes at a marijuana moment. Carl Yeager yesterday. The headline is "Scientists Develop New Class of CBD Using a Common Kitchen Spice, Not Cannabis." Okay, but they didn't give details on how they got fentanyl to have the genetic profile to produce a molecule that's close enough to CBD that you can then alter it through manufacturing. But I mean, there's technology out there. CRISPR's one I can think of, where you can introduce genes into plants and animals and then make monstrosities. And this was a group of scientists, neuropsychological biology. I don't know what the hell they call all these people. Give people in college money and they'll go invent a new vocabulary and they'll study any goddamn thing you pay them money to go study. And this seems like one of them. Took a bunch of rats and they have bred rats and mice so that you get the same profile every time. Try to take away the confounding factors. Somebody genetically modified fentanyl, and now these seeds produce a molecule that you can then take into a pharmaceutical process using closed loop, pressure, temperature, different chemicals. You can convert it to CBD. Okay? I guess that if you've got money to go play with this, great. Then they throw in terms like fentanyl's a safe plant. I mean, and underlying assumption there is that cannabis is not safe. I'm reading this going, okay, this is fucking propaganda. Somebody got paid to go out and play around with an experiment. And now somebody thinks this is going to be something spectacular. What it caught my attention was that if we rescheduled to Schedule 3, okay, CBD right now, I think is Schedule 5. Epidiolex is Schedule 5. Is it going to actually be in the Controlled Substances Act? Are they going to start manufacturing CBD from genetically modified fentanyl plants? I mean, is that where it's going to go? Because we got this plant that sort of evolved to produce CBD, THC and things like that. It's not dangerous. We've been dealing with it since recorded history. Why are we doing this now? My thought was, be careful what you ask for with rescheduling, because this molecule can be patented. Let's just be clear. They can patent this shit, okay? Now, CBD, I mean, where's it going to go? The next is going to be THC, because if they can do it for CBD, they can damn sure do it for THC. And is this going to be some similar nonsense? I can grow a plant that produces a ton of THC, but it's not safe. So I'm going to, modify fentanyl so I can produce THC. And this is a circular argument that I don't think gets us anywhere. We have a plant that produces this. Call it unsafe is nonsense, okay? Because it doesn't grow fentanyl on it. So, whatever's wrong with cannabis that might kill somebody is not from the natural plant. So this one gets under my skin because I don't think rescheduling is going to work out at all. It's going to be a disaster, okay? And this is just a little window into how the disaster is going to unfold. I'm going to throw this back at you because I just see this as a rabbit hole I'd prefer not to go down. What do you guys think?
This is science's never-ending battle to remove THC and CBD from each other when nature keeps trying to smush them back together. And, at what cost? And then, like you said, who's going to own the IP on these genetics? I very much agree with you, Dale. That I think rescheduling is going to be an intellectual property move for a lot of the big pharma companies, a lot of the agribusiness companies like Bayer, Monsanto. they're going to move very slowly, but they're going to patent everything they can and just keep putting stuff behind a gate. Just hold as much of it as you can. And I suspect that Schedule 3 is going to bring a lot more of that. And who wants to smoke fennel seed? Is that like that sounds like some hippie shit.
Well, here's the thing. If they can do this with CBD, then can they do this with THCA?
Absolutely, because it has to produce CBG, which is a precursor, and then they're going to assign it which way it goes from there.
Mm-hmm. So people could be smoking a lot of fake weed, is what you're saying.
Guys, I think
it would all be GMO then. It would all be GMO.
It's not just about smoking weed. It's not just about smoking weed. I read the article completely differently from a different lens.
Okay.
I hear you.
Go for it. Go for it.
Genetics, IP, etc. But the caraway, when I read the article, I looked at, oh, good, this is good. They're starting to see more nutritional and nutraceutical opportunities. And yes, they are going to find things in plants and food that are going to be distilled into pharmaceutical products that can maybe treat acute issues. The way I read it is when we get these kinds of research projects where we can learn caraway seeds are not, you can't convert them naturally in your body into CBD, but perhaps, she said, it has a structure to help convert it. So if you have naturally occurring endogenous cannabinoids, caraway in the diet is probably a good thing. It reminds me a lot of beta-caryophyllene and how it's present in cannabis, but also in black pepper. And doctors sometimes, this is not medical advice, and I'm sure Dr. Mark can let me know on Friday what he thinks. But sometimes I've been told by a few of my cannabis physician friends that they'll sometimes recommend for people with heart issues, sprinkle a little more black pepper on your food. So when I read this article, the only people who are going to right now be able to finance this kind of research are going to be your pharmaceuticals until we get to a space where we're looking at food, medicine, and pharmacology in different lenses, through different lenses. So I didn't have as much of a negative outlook on it, which is weird since I'm usually the one who's on both ends. But I thought it's progressive. Well, because, I'm a negative Pollyanna. That's an oxymoron. But
it's all GMO.
Scientists, I think it's good. It's good research. We need the industry to fund more research like this. I love companies who are looking into these spaces, not just because obviously the pharmaceutical and the IP, and they have their lane where they operate, but we need to create a new lane and way of thinking that we can approach food and medicine, nutrition together. I mean, all of your peptides and all of this other stuff come from natural organic materials that we can consume.
I love me some peptides. Peptides are the best. They're like one of the greatest inventions ever.
It's all, we need to protect the space for us to have the nutraceutical pathway that is a little more open and focused on nutrition, and then the pharmaceutical pathway.
It's a whole bunch of horseshit, huh, Dale?
Well, I mean, I appreciate Shaun's position on this, but I've been around the business world a little too long to believe that they have any altruism in their game. They're going to take this, and the good news, I didn't talk about this. The good news is that they seem to have found that the molecule they produced has an impact on seizure. These are rats, so it's not humans, but Epidiolex was proven to be effective on treatment-resistant seizure problems. If you've ever known anybody with seizures, it is a mess. The medicine they use blunts everything about you. And if we can find a way to control seizures that are refractory to typical treatment without the side effects, I think that's a good thing. That should go forward. But the flip side of this is at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, the Germans figured out how to take natural molecules, turn them into things. They invented oxycodone from an opioid, hydrocodone, hydromorphone. And now with CRISPR and things like that, if we can take some plant and genetically modify it to produce the precursor molecule we want to produce these other molecules that we want for their medical activity, this plant's going to be relegated legally to the black market. It's already there, but the genie's out of the bottle. People like smoking weed. They have since they started writing shit down on the cave wall. Okay, they like smoking it. So pretend like that's just going to go away because, oh, I've invented a new molecule. It might help seizures. I don't give a shit. I like rolling up a joint and smoking it. Okay, and if you don't let me have an avenue to get that, I'll do what I've always done. I'll find a guy who knows a guy, and we're just going to promote the black market. So within the realities of capitalism, this is going to be owned by some big company.
Yeah.
It's going to be an asset for them, and they're going to push to control it because, you know, that's what mercantilism does. It likes to control the market. And for those of us who have been struggling to get this out there where the average person can be involved in the industry, it's the death knell for that. We're going back to the black market if this is where the industry is going to be taken.
Yeah, we already have a plant that produces CBD, and it was developed by traditional breeding methods, nothing genetically engineered, but it can't be owned or patented because it's more or less naturally occurring and ubiquitous. And, you know, I can get clones of it right now if I want to and grow it. So they're looking for something to own and hold and license out.
Maybe they'll license the CBD to you know, Charmin.
You can wipe your ass with it, huh? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, that was fun. Oh man, you know, you never know, Dale. They have had CBD toilet paper in the past, and apparently is good for something. You know what I'm saying? But
well, I have to fight cynicism. I used to be very ideological about shit like this, but I'm too old now to just accept the ideology. Business is going to do what it can. We're trying in the industry to get business to take over the legitimate side of the industry. And to be honest, we fumbled this quite a bit. Okay? The hippie idea of how we're going to do this does not match up with, you know, MBA programs where you've got to run a business. But I think we're getting better. But this is going to license big business to take this over. We do not have the connections in Washington and these state capitals to compete with them. We still are looked upon as the redheaded stepchild. And in there they said, oh, this is a safe plant. Wait. That's another pejorative poke at the cannabis plant, but it's not safe. You know, show me where it's not safe. Can't do that, but it gets traction. I just, you know, don't be fooled by where this is going. I want this to be in the hands of the average person who's learned to grow weed, who knows how to do this. Let's set that business up like we did with alcohol, and let's move forward with this outside the Controlled Substances Act. And let a pharmaceutical company who wants to put CBD, want to make genetically modified CBD for your, you know, cough syrup or whatever. I don't give a shit. Okay, but the market should have the natural plant, and we can go with that one.
Amazing. Well, you had something you wanted to throw in, Shaun, before we move on?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think what we can recognize is that it's good that the research is being funded. We need to create an avenue for exactly what Dale described, where we protect the plant and all of that, and which I call the nutraceutical side. And then the pharmaceuticals are going to do what they do. One note that we missed, and I think the chefs in the audience will appreciate, is that this does at least help us to have a little more background on food science and maybe ingredients that you could be mixing for edibles or future products, or, you know, it's just like, I liked the article when I read it. I was excited about the science, and the chef in me was like, ooh, with fennel with this. And I remember when you infuse this butter with it, it was that experience. Now I know perhaps it was because these ingredients were a part of that, you know, and the more research we have towards that, the better.
The entourage effect. In every
it's not going to be fennel. It's going to be CBD made from fennel. There's going to be no fennel in this at all. None.
Well, that's for them, but it doesn't eliminate what
it will eliminate. Yes, it will, Shaun. Yes, it will. As soon as they have a patent on it, it's called drug preclusion, and that's how the FDA works. They operate on single cell molecules. That's just how the game goes. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John. Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Oh, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
All right, and we are back, and we are going to roll right into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a veteran who served her country proud. She's a mom, and she's a conflict mediator that will try to keep you and your pocketbooks out of court. It is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje. You're on mute. You're on mute, Shaun. You're on mute. Yep. Yep. I'm not hearing you. I heard you all the time before. What'd you do? What'd you change? Yeah, weird. Weird. Keep talking. This weird. Open up the that doesn't make sense. Open up the Discord. Let's see what's going on with her settings over here. How come we don't hear Shaun? I just heard you, and how come I don't hear you now? That doesn't make any sense. Try muting and unmuting.
Communist plot.
Yeah, it is. I'm blaming it on Hunter Biden. I'm totally.
Try this one.
There we go. Yes, there we go, Shaun. Yes. Whatever you just did, you I can't hear you again, but I did hear you for a second. So what did you just do? You switched something.
Obama's fault.
It could
Wait,
be
you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yes. Yep.
Okay, we're good now.
Okay.
Okay, I gotcha.
There we go.
Don't be scared, team. We're all good.
Yeah, we got you. Yes. Technical support.
My story today, it's a continuation from yesterday's story, and we're going to continue that conversation on supply chain issue. It's from the land of, 10,000 lakes, Minnesota. So Minnesota inks its third tribal state marijuana deal, this one with the Prairie Island Indian Community. The state of Minnesota has reached its third tribal state marijuana deal, opening further partnership opportunities for cannabis dispensaries. As you may recall, if you caught yesterday's broadcast, we talked about how the dispensaries are actually experiencing a critical undersupply of product. And so much so, some folks are having to shut down. So this deal with the tribe is actually very important. Governor Tim Walz formally signed the Cannabis Compact with the Prairie Island Indian Community on Monday. As with earlier deals, agreed to with the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe and the White Earth Band of Minnesota Chippewa tribe, the compact allows the tribal community to open and run up to 8 off-reservation marijuana dispensaries. We're grateful to have this compact completed, and we're excited to continue meeting demand in Minnesota's growing recreational cannabis market with the exceptional cannabis products we're producing, Prairie Island Indian Community Tribal Council President Grant Johnson said. We're very proud of the disciplined systems and process we have created to ensure safe, secure operation of our cannabis businesses on and off our reservation land. Those systems are modeled upon more than 40 years of successful tribal regulation of our gaming enterprise, and we are eager to continue applying that expertise to our cannabis operations. I'm excited. This is a win. Full disclosure, I'm a quarter native, so I'm biased, y'all. I'm so biased on this one. But I'll also measure that with some caution for my friends, because someone in the comments also gave us some good intelligence on yesterday's story. The deal comes as many other recreational cannabis businesses across the state struggle to find flower to stock their shelves. Located near Treasure Island in Welch, just north of Red Wing, where the famous Red Wing shoes are made, the Prairie Island Indian Community already runs its own dispensary, Island Pezi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sorry, y'all. I'm from Texas native, Comanche. We say things a little differently. But hopefully I got it right. Someone hit me if I didn't. Hit me in the comments. But however, now they'll be able to expand operations in the other parts of the states. So they've had their own dispensary on their land, but now through this deal, they're going to be able to operate beyond their land. Weren't we covering a story a bit ago about one state who's suing, like they had to sue the state to be able to do this? I'm so proud to hear Minnesota's doing it right. Under the terms of the compact, each tribal nation can open 1 retail location per city and 3 per county. Minnesota's Office of Cannabis Management, meanwhile, says additional tribal compact negotiations continue and more deals are expected to be announced in the coming weeks. There are 11 sovereign tribal nations located within Minnesota, meaning 8 have yet to agree to a cannabis compact within the state. So still more opportunity for the tribes, but the question is, do we have the supply? And that was the problem we were discussing yesterday about opening interstate commerce. I do like that this is progressing to it. Maybe we need to find a way where it's a percentage mix. I don't know what creative numbers look like when we're talking about how much interstate to let in and then how much to protect the local market, especially if it's going to the tribes, because a lot of this is restitution for wrongdoings. I wish we had that in Texas. That's why land buyback was so important to me. But this is good for the tribes. The question, though, and someone raised in the comments, is that unfortunately, some folks within the tribe may be wanting to charge a high price. And if we do that, we hurt ourselves. So I understand the desire to want to do it if you're the first operator, and especially if you have the ability and you can move early. But I would caution, we got to think about the longevity of this. And I would imagine that the tribal leaders are considering longevity and sustainability. Like he said, this is 40 years of experience running gaming operations. So I'm excited. I really hope it works out for Minnesota. Y'all from up north, hit me up, like DM me on IG. Let me know what's happening up there in the North Star State. I'm dying to know down here in the Lone Star State. I'm way past due for a visit to Minnesota. So back to y'all. What do you think? How do we balance the numbers?
First of all, I think, if you're trying to balance the numbers, you're already off balance. A
number of states have done this. As soon as they open up recreational sales, they don't allow cultivators to cultivate until the same day that retail opens. That makes no sense. You can't have a grocery store selling the food before the food is grown, or people are going to starve. So you have shops trying to stay open with limited to no inventory.
Yeah.
And allows a temporary monopoly by the tribes, which, I guess is kind of a kickback to them, temporarily. So, they can demand, they can basically set their market price because they're the only show in town right now. So it's, over the long term, this will smooth out. It doesn't really matter. But in the short term, you have dispensaries paying rent, paying their landlords, paying all these fees for licensing, and they have no product to sell, and they don't want to go out of business in the next 3 months waiting on the growers to produce things. So they have no choice but to pay high prices or, just be a mock dispensary with no product on the shelves.
And maybe I should have clarified. Here's why I asked that we manage for sustainability, because if the prices are too high, the customers won't buy it, and you'll send it all back to the illicit market. Like, there's a very delicate balance that we have to preserve.
I don't know.
I mean, right now, people are driving around Minnesota, walking into a dispensary. Hey, do you have anything? No, we don't have anything on the shelves. Okay. They have to go to 3-4 shops to find anything, even an eighth.
Price is
Hold on
way
a second.
too high.
They don't have weed maps? They don't have weed maps out there where they can just check the store inventory?
Maybe. I'm sure.
I would hope that everyone makes it sustainable, because even if you can do it, doesn't mean that you should. If the price is too high, if there's nothing on the shelf and they're already going somewhere else or to web sells from out of state, you're making a mistake.
If they're having to go somewhere else, that's good, because that means that everything's sold out and that when the stuff hits the shelf, it's fresh.
No, they're going somewhere else because they don't have any products. The retailers.
Yeah, but when it does hit the shelf, it's fresh.
By then, you've already lost your customer, at least the one exposure where you're going to try to convert them. Like, we're acting like the customers are just going to keep.
Maybe they should just sell hemp products. Maybe these people should just be selling hemp products because they could keep them stocked.
Market, though, Minnesota's working on adjusting their hemp because they came in with such
it's all the same thing.
Marijuana market. We got to look at it.
It's all the same thing. Just slap a weed COA on the back of a hemp product, you'll be fine.
Oh, this ain't gambling, though, guys. This ain't gambling. Okay? When you go to use cannabis, if you don't have cannabis, you don't go anywhere. If you show up in a reservation, if you got 25 cents in your pocket, you can play the slot machine. Okay, you got to have something to provide to people. And in these days of this schizophrenic state versus federal stance over marijuana, this will have some mid-range benefit to the tribe. But as soon as this gets opened up, are you going to want Ojibwe weed versus Emerald Triangle weed? I mean, some of this stuff for the immediate short term, you can sell all the weeds you can grow out there. You like to call it poof.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've never smoked, Minnesota weed before. I went to Montana and tried some there, and I thought, I don't know where the fuck they dug this stuff up, but this is horrible. Horrible. Okay. I'm used to having stuff from California where they're fighting over, how high a quality of product I can get, not trying to get you to, to go buy bullshit and see if you like it. This is a short-term thing, and it gets caught up with, we all feel bad for what happened to the Native Americans. They're not going to fix this problem. This is an interim situation to try to deal with, but at some point, whether it goes full black market again, in which case California's weed's going across the country like it still is right now, or they're going to go full legal, and you're going to have these growers in places where this stuff really grows, not just as it grows top shelf. We're going to want that in all these dispensaries. So this is an intermediate game. We still haven't figured out how to fix this problem. I'm happy they're stepping up to provide some product. But as Chris knows, you don't plant a seed today or, transplant a clone and tomorrow I've got flower for sale. It don't work that way.
If it's an auto flower, Dale.
Well, I mean, in the government's defense, if they would have allowed cultivation the moment they issued cultivation licenses, the timing still may have not lined up, and you would have had, big companies get in there, spend a ton of money just to stockpile product and dominate the market the day, shelves open. It's a temporary issue, and these regulatory bodies don't really know how to handle it. So they don't. Everyone gets the green light at the same day. Figure it out.
That's what I'm thinking.
In hindsight, it's stupid is what it is.
Couldn't we forecast it and set percentages aside? Like, if I was going to go into a room with lawmakers and try to prevent these problems, why wouldn't I suggest maybe divide it into thirds, 30% this, that, so that way you have something on shelves and you stabilize your market. Y'all just letting markets go out there and explode.
Sell it. Just let it explode. Let it explode. Just boom, pow.
I get an open market and everybody's ability to compete, but there's a smart way to do this, because if you fuck it up, you sabotage your market for decades. Like, don't
First of all, having a closed market is already sabotaged for decades already, just by that alone. So it's already sabotaged. It's not like you're going to sabotage it more.
I agree. We do need testing.
You're going to sabotage it. You're going to sabotage it by having stale old stale old product. If you try, you know what I'm saying? Like this, there's a reason that Colorado's market is so dwindled.
Jason, just because there's a million ways to die doesn't mean we need to choose this one.
I believe in, as soon as the product's ready, sell it and get it the hell out of here as faster than it came in. That's the motto.
Yeah, but you got to get cooperation at the state and regulatory level for that. And this is all reacting to stupid shit they do. And we've tried to warn them. If you do this stupid shit, you're going to have these problems. Oh, they have these problems. So they react to the stupid shit problems they created by doing more stupid shit. Okay?
It's like
all of us have outlined the things that we have seen. Stevie Wonder can see the problems you create if you do these things, but yet they still do them. Okay? And so if you think someone's being smart about this, you got people everywhere with rectal myopia trying to make decisions, and then, we'll just do this other thing now. Well, why? Why are you doing it that way? And they don't have an answer, because this is mental illness, right? This is political mental illness right now. And we're dealing with schizophrenia, and there's just no way we're going to fix this. The black market's just kind of laughing. They got their popcorn going. Like, okay, what else is the government going to do that's incredibly stupid now? Well, I don't know. Wait for the next space laser to come, because they're coming.
Yep.
I think it's also a bit of naivety that they've got folks in their ears. And then when Minnesota went, it was a few years ago. So they were probably, like, every state wants to protect their local farmer, wants to protect their local business, because they're campaigning on local politics. But then when you get to it, and after they crafted these laws, you realize, like, the market wasn't predicting needing this kind of correction itself. Everybody was too busy trying to build out in California. Like, come on, guys. Hindsight's 2020. But let's see what we can do here. If they're not business owners and they don't operate in the industry, we should make sure that we're bringing them information and helping to educate them so they can make better business decisions for their constituents. And interstate.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, we have some projects in Minnesota, and you're into the same thing we do here. You got 3 or 4 people in local government that want it, and you got a couple old farts that say, I wouldn't let this happen if you had a gun to my head. Okay, that's what we're dealing with here at the local level. And, at some point, we need to recognize we need the federal government to come in so we can have interstate commerce on this and turn it into a legitimate national business enterprise. And we're just not even close to that yet. I mean, Massachusetts wants to roll back what they got, okay? Hey, tell them they're full of shit and tell them no. But that doesn't fix the other problems like we're dealing with here. I mean, hey, come on, Chris, you're going to, someone says, hey, I need you to have me 5 pounds of, or 500 pounds of weed tomorrow. You go, okay, but they just gave me my license today, and I can't start growing until today. Hey, what's wrong with that picture? But you got these fucking morons in charge of this stuff.
Yeah.
Come and ask us, need some lead time. It's mind-boggling. And it's like I fight cynicism all the time because I don't have the patience anymore for dumb fucks. Really. I mean, I lose my shit sometime on these people because it's like, what do we have to tell you? What words do we have to use to get to understand that the path you're taking has already been taken and it was disastrous? We're on the path again. Okay.
The first half a dozen states that legalized could have had these issues, but we're on 30-something states now. You can learn from the mistakes of other states. You can communicate with other regulators and, you know, figure out what these common pitfalls are, but none of them are doing that. They're like, oh, we'll just chuck whatever at the wall, see what sticks.
Yep.
They don't do that. We have to do that. They don't do that because they're campaigning and doing all these other things with all these other issues. It's not an excuse. I'm just saying we have to.
They don't do that because they're bureaucrats and they don't care to learn about the processes.
That's also an element. That's also an element of it. But the other thing that the industry needs to consider is that it takes about a decade to move those folks if we don't have term limits and such things. We need to address the reality of where we are and do more. We need to do more. We should do better. That half of the industry last year came out and said, let's reschedule. That's a great idea. And then the rest of us were panicked, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And glitching out is an issue that we need to address internally. Like, and then we need to go do our homework and influence and work with our legislators. They're not going to understand it. They're not cannabis industry experts. If someone from within the industry would have told them it takes an 18 to 24 month runway to build a regulated, tested complaint operation and get actual product to the market, and even that's ambitious.
In all fairness, Shaun, there's a lot of cannabis industry experts that aren't cannabis industry experts out there too. So, I mean, you know, it's fair, you know. But on that, we are going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's Joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
You know he's triggered when he won't let you finish what you're saying because he's got something to say. It's like, oh, because you're full of shit now.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I am back. I apologize. I apologize for that. But coming up next is Mr. Christopher Vaos. He's a seasoned cannabis industry professional with over 15 years of experience in commercial cultivation. He has led large-scale indoor, greenhouse, and outdoor operations across various U.S. markets, specializing in cultivation optimization, team leadership, and cost-efficient scaling. With a background in engineering and data-driven science-based approach, Christopher consistently delivers strong results in plant health, productivity, and operational efficiency. It is none other than Mr. Christopher Vaos.
All right. Today's article is coming from our friends at MJ Biz Daily, Mr. Chris Roberts. Prominent marijuana multi-state operator Curaleaf Holdings sued New Jersey cannabis regulators earlier this month, seeking to overturn labor-friendly licensing requirements, as well as punishment the company claims is the commercial equivalent of the death penalty. In a complaint filed October 9th in the United States Court in New Jersey against the State Cannabis Regulatory Commission, attorneys for Stamford, Connecticut-based Curaleaf allege that state law requiring cannabis businesses to obtain labor peace agreements, LPAs, violate federal law. Mandated in several pro-union states, including California and New York, as well as New Jersey, an LPA is a pact in which a business agrees to remain neutral during organizing activities. In return, the union agrees to forego strikes and boycotts. Neither the New Jersey CRC nor representatives for Curaleaf immediately responded to requests for comments on Tuesday. According to its suit, Curaleaf had an LPA with the United Food and Commercial Workers, Local 360, and that expired in April after the union and company couldn't agree on a renewal. UFCW is one of two major unions organizing workers in the labor-intensive cannabis industry, along with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. I'm glad they said it's labor-intensive because it's not easy work. The lawsuit alleges that LPAs violate the Federal National Labor Relations Act, NLRA. It seeks a judge's declaration that New Jersey's LPA requirements violates federal law and cannot be enforced, and that regulators can't punish Curaleaf for not abiding by it. Curaleaf's challenge to the LPA requirement in New Jersey is the latest of several ongoing lawsuits that seek to undo the labor-friendly licensing requirements in the several major marijuana markets across the U.S. It also follows a successful legal effort to strike down an LPA requirement in Oregon. In that case, a federal judge found that LPAs, which require businesses to remain neutral during unionization pushes, violate First Amendment protections on free speech as well as the NLRA. And it seems to be timed with both that court case as well as a more pro-business shift in President Donald Trump's second term after the labor-friendly Biden administration, observers said. I believe that Curaleaf and those like them are trying to capitalize off the federal government and the Trump administration, which is the most anti-union administration I've ever seen in my career, says Hugh Giordano, an organizer with a local 360. UFCW is not a party in the suit. In August, New Jersey regulators fined Curaleaf $610,000 for being in violation of the LPA requirements since April, according to an August 25th notice. According to the lawsuit, state regulators are also threatening to fine the company an additional $5,000 for every day the company remains out of compliance. Regulators have also hinted that they could revoke Curaleaf's licenses accordingly, according to the suit. That's partially because the permit for the company's cannabis store in Bordentown, New Jersey was renewed upon the condition that they secure an LPA by October 31st, the lawsuit claims. That is the commercial equivalent of the death penalty, the company's attorneys wrote. You know, I want to hear what Dale has to say about this, but yeah. I have some, some friends that have worked for this company, and they more than have the money to pay these fines. These are this is pennies for Curaleaf, and all these MSOs are pretty notorious for underpaying their employees, and not that I'm like hoorah for unions either. Anytime you organize people in these political systems, it can be corrupted. But anyone that's worked at one of these big companies has seen just the abuse and neglect that these employees have to deal with. What do you guys think?
I couldn't agree with you more on your assessment, Chris. I can't wait to hear what Dale has to say. But I'm right up the alley with you, bro, on that one.
Well, the National Labor Relations Act has been in place since the late 1930s, and we have a new court now. And the court is, I think, taking hard looks at the constitutional provisions that enable the federal government to do some of the things they've historically done. And I'm not saying I like it or dislike it. I'm just saying that a lot of the New Deal policies that came out, don't be surprised if we see challenges, sometimes directly, some of them around the edges, to what has been historical precedent now for my lifetime. I'm hard pressed to know where it's going to come out, because if the federal government doesn't have what we call plenary power over this, it goes to the states.
Plenary power? Explain that, Dale.
Well, plenary power is exclusive to a branch of government. Nobody else can interfere. The federal government has a list of powers they were given. According to the 10th Amendment, if a power is on that list, the states can't touch it. It's plenary to the federal government. Okay? And I don't know that you can point to a place in the Constitution where it says the federal government gets to control labor relations. You've got to read between some of the lines here. And that's where it's hard to know, because we have the Supreme Court that seems intent on looking back to the pre-New Deal era and going back there with how the federal government looked at itself and its relationships to the states. Okay. And it's hard to know where these are going to come out, because the South is generally a right to work.
Yep, it is. Yes.
And nobody has been able to use federal law to stop them from being a right to work state. Okay? And so what, I don't know if it's a concern, but what I'm watching with interest is, will this court, Supreme Court, ultimately give a victory for the federal government to control labor relations, or will it allow this to go to the state? Okay, and if I'm a betting man based on what they've done, like with the Dobbs decision, I'm going to say, we don't have the federal power to do this. It's going to go to the states. And then Katie bar the door. Who knows what the hell is going to happen after that?
Yep. Interesting.
I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying it's hard not to sit here. I've been practicing law for, we're a long time. And I've seen pendulum swings go back and forth. But it's clear to me that where the Trump administration and the Republicans that are behind him are taking this, it's not where labor wants it to go.
Well, I think labor needs to look itself in the mirror sometimes, and you know what I'm saying. And a lot of times they're not in the best interest of labor overall, and so that's something that I think that they need to deal with internally, and maybe come back to the table.
Well, historically, we're in a different period. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, it was a whole different market. If you had a job then and some company was threatening your job and 25% of the population's out of work, you're going to fight like hell. You're going to blow shit up. You're going to burn buildings down. My grandpa was a Teamster. If you don't play with us, we're going to burn your building down. This is what happened back in the 1930s. Federal government acted to set up the National Labor Relations Act and the board that went along with it. They gave a lot of power to the federal government, and the Supreme Court in that period eventually decided that, okay, we're gonna go progressive, and we're going to read between the lines of the Constitution, allow things to happen. Don't bet on that today, because the Constitution has a list. If you read the list, you have to imagine that labor is in there because it's not stated. Where's this interstate commerce power they're using? Because that's the shoehorn they've used traditionally by the federal government to do shit. Well, it might cross a state line somewhere. So we have power over it. Okay. All right. Does that mean the federal government has exclusive power over it? With labor, I don't think you can say that. And if they're forced by the Supreme Court to step out of it altogether, I don't know what that might mean for the state's relationship with employers and employees and where that's going to go and whether the feds can step in and stop it. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just trying to point out the playing field I'm looking at.
Yeah. You're just calling shots and balls, Dale.
It's also
trying.
It happens. Curaleaf will be a part of this lawsuit right now, which is a part of a normal legal cycle, considering the administration and policy has shifted. And then when it shifts in another direction, the action will follow suit, So there are bigger patterns. There's bigger issues. This is not limited to cannabis only. So I don't really see it as a cannabis bad actor or something of that nature. It's just more business as usual in the world of business and law and unions. And then to Dale's point, the 30s, we have so many cycles that are on loop right now, on repeat. And I do think 100-year cycles are a real thing. And people might be fighting for their jobs a lot harder than they were historically in the future. It just feels like there's going to be a little bit of pressure coming up. So, and that's what Curaleaf is alleging, is that this is like a death penalty for them. Although, Chris mentions it, maybe let's contextualize that a bit. Is it? I don't know. I'm not involved with their organization, but we just have to sometimes not get too excited about headlines and pull back, recognize that it's just part of a bigger pattern. This is old news. How long have companies been suing unions and this back and forth? This has been happening forever.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Man, this was a great story, Chris. Thank you for bringing that up to the thing. And I'm sure we're going to continue to cover this as there's developments in this, as we love to follow stories like this and just watch them evolve on the trail of evolution of these lawsuits, and see what these judges rule, and especially too what the plaintiffs claim,
what the defendants have to say about themselves. Time will tell. Interesting. I can't wait to watch, and there's gonna be some new popcorn for this one. But I have one final story, and I told you we're going to start off in West Virginia. We're going to close out in West Virginia because West Virginia has collected $34 million from its medical cannabis program, and it hasn't spent a penny of it, you guys. That's right. Under state law, millions of dollars from medical cannabis sales should have funded medical research, addiction help, and law enforcement. But state officials have said they can't touch the money. Since the state's first dispensary opened in 2021, West Virginia's medical cannabis program has collected roughly $34 million in taxes, licensing fees, and interest. State law requires the money to be used to create a medical cannabis research program, provide resources to residents with substance use disorder, and fund law enforcement training. But almost 4 years later, the money sits unspent. Cannabis is still an illegal drug at the federal level. Traditional banks were unwilling to hold the state's cannabis dollars, so they're held at a credit union under control of the state treasurer's office. In a quote, "The money in the fund will remain unallocated until federal law changes," said treasurer's office spokesperson Carrie Hudasek. But other states with legal cannabis markets, including Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, are spending their tax revenue. A medical cannabis rollout made rocky by federal law and fearful banks, because in 1970, the federal government classified marijuana as a Schedule I drug, a designation that finds it has no medical use and a high potential for misuse. Today, 40 states have legalized adult use cannabis or medical cannabis use despite federal classification. West Virginia's 2017 Medical Cannabis Act allowed licensed physicians to issue medical cannabis cards to patients seeking alternative treatments for serious health conditions. But it took over 4 years from the time the bill was passed for patients to get medical cannabis from a dispensary in West Virginia. In 2018, then Treasurer John Perdue said banks refused to hold funds from the program because they did not want to be held liable for interacting with money from an illegal substance. And Perdue sought an advisory opinion from the Attorney General, Patrick Morrisey, to determine the best way to legally handle the program's finances. Morrisey found the federal government had not gone after other states with medical cannabis markets, but there was no guarantee it would continue to refrain from doing so. Licenses from growers, processors, or dispensaries had not been dispersed by the state because there was nowhere to collect the permit fees. It wasn't until March of 2019 that lawmakers changed the state law to allow a credit union to hold the money. Element Federal Credit Union, which came on the scene, which was already planning to provide banking services to the state's cannabis industry, won the bid to hold the tax dollars. And in the quote, they say, "It's up to the individual bank if they want to take that risk. It's a big risk because it's federally illegal," said CEO Linda Bodie. "We obviously took that risk." Former delegate and then Republican candidate for Senate Treasurer Riley Moore criticized Perdue for the continued delay in the program in a 2019 opinion published in the Charleston Gazette-Mail, and says, "Clearly, West Virginia needs a modernized, transparent, and proactive state treasurer's office," he wrote. Moore defeated Perdue in the 2020 election, and after planting, harvesting, and processing cannabis into consumable products for the first dispensary that opened in November of 2021 and began generating tax revenue. During Moore's 4-year term as state treasurer, the medical cannabis program generated millions of dollars that went into the fund but were not spent. Moore, now a U.S. representative, did not respond to questions about the fund, but lawmakers who helped write the state's medical cannabis laws were surprised that the money is still sitting at the credit union. "I was not aware of this," said Delegate Mike Pushkin, a Democrat from Kanawha. "That's the first I've heard of it, that it wasn't being spent." Pushkin helped craft the 2019 cannabis banking legislation. He said there were no discussions he was involved in during that legislative session or after that suggested the fund would stall. And Senator Mike Woolfield, Democrat from Cable, who wrote the original version of the Medical Cannabis Act, also said he wasn't aware that the money was stockpiling. And after learning the status of the fund, he spoke with the current treasurer. In a quote, "I think this has come to the attention of the treasurer, Larry Pack, and I think he's summoned the experts to find a way to meet the expectations of the bill and to make this work," Woelfel said.
As West Virginia sits on its funds, other states put cannabis taxes to use, and meanwhile, Maryland, Ohio, Pennsylvania have legal cannabis markets and are distributing the tax revenue, and it's designated in state laws. Ohio has distributed over $35 million to its general fund, and nearly 2/3 of the cannabis tax revenue will be allocated to its general fund beginning this fiscal year, but the rest, which goes to Ohio's host community cannabis fund, has not been dispersed to individual municipalities due to lack of appropriation by the state legislature, said Ohio Office of Budget and Management spokesperson Pete LaBubia. In Pennsylvania, medical marijuana revenue has supported drug and alcohol programs and its Commission on Crime and Delinquency, said Pennsylvania Department of Revenue spokesperson Jeffrey Johnson. The state has not been able to establish a medical marijuana research program because of complications with federal law. And 1/3 of Maryland's cannabis tax revenue goes to a fund aimed to help communities disproportionately affected by drug use, and the rest goes to the state's general budget in counties and public health efforts. Andrew Livingston, Director of Economics and Market Analysis at Vicente LLP, a national cannabis law firm, said he is not aware of a synthetic issue where cannabis tax revenue cannot be spent in states with legal markets. How could allocations from the fund help West Virginians now? Well, Welfel introduced the Medical Cannabis Act with a key requirement to establish a medical cannabis research program. It would determine whether the medical cannabis program was helping and where it could be improved. In a quote, "To me, that was a very important part of the bill," he said. State Department of Health spokesperson Galen Markham said it has not been created due to the inability to access funds. And if West Virginia distributed the entire fund today, roughly $19 million would go back to the Bureau of Public Health. Within the Department of Health, nearly $8 million to the Fight Substance Abuse Fund overseen by the Department of Health, and $6 million to the Division of Justice and Community Services, and $1.5 million to a special revenue account for law enforcement professional training and professional development programs. Dr. Matthew Christensen, former state health officer from 2023 to 2024, said he asked but couldn't get a clear answer of how much money was in the fund. He said West Virginia has struggled more than any other state in the nation with addiction, and there is a lack of sustainable funding for treatment and recovery programs. Federal funding has declined, but he said the tax revenue could ease that gap. Federal cuts include money to the Department of Justice's Office of Justice Programs, which help divert people with an intoxication or possession charge into treatment instead of prison. And Christensen said the state's revenue for medical cannabis could be used in other ways as well. In a quote, he says, "It's a significant amount of money. It could be used to help quite a few people or stand up specific programs for a period of years that would make a positive impact for people with addiction," he said. "It's nothing to sneeze at," he says. He said this fund could also provide access to resources for the small percentage of medical cannabis patients who develop a cannabis use disorder. Oh, isn't that interesting? Even though it doesn't really exist, but whatever. Elizabeth Shahan, Executive Director of West Virginia Prevention Solutions, a nonprofit focused on substance use prevention, said the organization has struggled with the loss of federal funding to address the needs of West Virginians. And the West Virginia Division of Tobacco Prevention RAISE program closed this summer, and it was a program aimed to educate youth about the dangers of smoking, vaping, and tobacco use. And West Virginia is currently leading the nation in teen vaping, according to a study conducted by Drug Watch. That fund alone could secure that evidence-based prevention education in school systems, Shanahan said. And medical cannabis was brought to the state as an economic driver, she said. And business prevention programs and medical cannabis patients all have a shared value to prevent harm in young populations. Every dollar that's available for prevention really needs to be invested in prevention, Shanahan said. If it sits, it doesn't do anyone any good. Well, I'll tell you what, I think this state has done the best job with finding a place for its tax allocations to go, because obviously they haven't been squandered on dumb programs that don't make sense and don't work and don't do what they say they're actually going to do. So I think this is the best state in the nation as far as what they have done with their tax revenue, because they have actually grown their revenue by collecting interest in the bank. And this is Economics 101.
I agree with that. That was going to be my first comment. They didn't squander it away.
Exactly.
They have receipts. Mm-hmm. You know, Colorado, California, Oregon. They're all like, "Oh, we're going to put it back in the schools,
Yeah, they're
and
just
the roads,
tricking off, just
and they have no receipts to show for it.
Exactly, nothing to show for it. What's that, Sean?
It's only because they couldn't find cannabis banking. Like it's laughable.
They found cannabis banking. They got a credit union.
FCU eventually, but they went through that whole operator experience of who's going to take my money. Like it's kind of a comedy of errors, if you ask me.
They should have just took it in They should have just took it in cash, and you know what I'm saying, and just throw it in a drawer somewhere. That would have been fine too.
No, I'm glad that they didn't do that. That definitely would have.
Oh, that would have been awesome. That would have been such a great story if they would have done that.
Yeah.
Come on,
I'm glad that they had to slow down to spend the money, but also if they don't spend it, it just appreciates. So let's get it. Get it where it needs to go.
West Virginia, you know what I'm saying? What they could have done is start, you know what I'm saying, start making mattresses, and then they could have just started collecting the cash, and they could have just hid it in those mattresses.
Come on, there's two problems here, and they're both federal. One of them's money laundering, the other's controlled substances.
Mm-hmm.
California, a long time ago, told the federal government to go kiss our ass. We're going to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And there was challenges by law enforcement and courts, and California courts said, "Hey, there's split jurisdiction here. Tell the federal government to get the hell out of here. We're going to do what we want to do under California law." And it looks to me like, and I'm not trying to be hating on West Virginia, but they're a little bit too gun shy to step up and poke somebody right in the eye here. Because we figured it out. I mean, cash is a mess, so we found credit unions a long time ago that would do the necessary nonsensical money laundering paperwork to receive cash without being arrested on the spot. And states have a right to handle their own controlled substances. And in fact, you have exemptions from the Controlled Substances Act for government officials being involved in this. And that was Ed Rosenthal's defense. He was made the chief grower for Oakland. And when he brought that up in his federal case, it's like, read what it says. You're a government official. You can be involved with, these drugs.
Yep. I mean, that's like what San Jose did too when they deputized Valerie and Mike Corral.
Yeah, and it threw kind of a turd in their federal punch bowl. Didn't quite know what to do.
Yep.
But we now have the Rohrabacher, Farr, whatever the latest iteration. We have a case here out of the Ninth Circuit. It's called the McGinnis case. We'll stop these prosecutions. We got somewhere by just telling them, no, we're not going to let you bully us. West Virginia's taking a different tack. And, I guess it is a good thing that the money's still there, because when you look at, how government runs, they've got money stuffed in mattresses all over the goddamn place.
Yeah.
It's just kind of comical to watch go, oh, we didn't spend it yet? Well, they're going to find a way to spend it now. And then we'll be talking about what sort of a stupid-ass program did you spend the money on? Because most of them turn out to be stupid-ass programs.
Yep.
And what do we get for our money?
Treatment centers and things like that are just sucking the money up, and it goes nowhere.
Yep.
I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon, but we've done our shtick on nonprofits and other things.
Yeah.
The other issue that I would consider is that it's West Virginia. So how many banks can take on $34 million of risk in a market that
it's not
they're
a
not
risk?
Sure what the
it's not really a risk if you're getting cash. If you're getting cash, there's no risk.
They still, if they.
I mean, it's not like they're issuing them credit. Like, they're getting the money.
They got the FCU.
The president for money laundering is not what you want to put at the top of your Christmas list.
There hasn't been any bank. There hasn't been any bank that has been charged with money laundering from collecting tax revenue. That hasn't happened in any state, anywhere, anywhere. So. It's not like all of a sudden, hold on. It's not like all of a sudden West Virginia is going to be the test case for this because they produce so much tax. It's going to be a state that produces like real amount of tax revenue if they test that. Because their name of the game is asset forfeiture. That's the whole name of the game.
Well, and cash is an asset they'll take.
That's my point. I agree with that.
they're already banking, and one, there's more conservative leadership typically at the helm of the ship, and then two, they are making money banking in other ways. Like the risk, at least a few years ago, wasn't worth it, to be frank. Like, and then if they're going, I don't know what West Virginia's rules are, but if they had to do something local, I just don't imagine local folks that are servicing locally are going to be able to do that, like as a bank, and make sure that all of their paperwork is in order and that they're operating at that kind of level. That's a lot of money to accept risk for. Like,
For the record, I just looked it up. There's only 33,000 registered medical patients in West Virginia.
That's what I'm saying.
So that,
they're not getting.
I mean, it's a lot of money for one person, but for a state government, even a small state,
it's nothing.
It's not
it's
really
peanuts.
that much money.
It's peanuts. Peanuts. Poo. You know what I mean? Delaware probably bring in more money than that. Rhode Island.
there's a reason why they struggled to find it.
Oh,
someone who
Delaware's wreck now.
Yeah. Well, and thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Yep, hit the fade. There you go. Oh, there we go. So,
happy Wednesday, y'all.
All right. To bounce, guys. See you tomorrow,
working.
Jason.
All right. Take care.
You guys have a good day.
Are you playing the wrong video? Interesting. Weird. Where did it stop playing? Interesting. I guess we're just going to end the stream today. Let me try it.